describe for you the rivalry between Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and how this rivalry continued to pre-existing between the Los Angeles Lakers and Boston Celtics. This topic may be familiar to many of you because most of you are from Southern California. But through this research of this topic, I've been able to uncover more unfamiliar facts. I'm sure many of you have been in situations where you are in competition with your peers, whether it be in sports for a trophy, at work for a promotion, at school to get into that program you want to, or within your own family. Today I will discuss the historical rivalry between two legendary players, Johnson and Bird, and the rivalry's impact on their individual teams. The first thing I'd like you to know is a brief history of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird's careers. Johnson and Bird's careers have coincided much longer than people have thought. Magic's high school coach kind of foreshadowed this relationship that would ensue between these two players here. He says, "There's someone out there who's just as talented as you are, and who is working just as hard, maybe even harder." Because of Magic's maybe overconfident personality, he thought he would never meet that person until 1978 in Lexington, Kentucky, when he met Larry Bird for the first time. As quoted in their autobiography, When the Game Was Ours, written by Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, with the help of Jackie McMullen. In 1979, Johnson and Bird's competition on a collegiate level was brought to the forefront, as you can see in this picture. Johnson is dressed in a Michigan State jersey, and Bird was in his Indiana State jersey. This rivalry was so profound that it brought about media attention that today is was the catalyst to what we call today as March Madness. The Battle of the Talents carried on to the National Basketball Association, also known as the NBA, with Magic in a Lakers jersey and Larry Bird in a Celtics jersey. In this picture here, you can see the competition. What you have to realize is they're physically pushing each other, but they're not even in the same position. But they didn't play in the same position. He was a point guard, and he was a power forward. So they were able to find each other on the court to just physically push each other to their best potential. Johnson and Bird's personalities were polar opposites. Larry Bird was more quiet and soft-spoken, while Magic was boisterous and outgoing. But the one thing that they had in common was an inextinguishable competitiveness. They remembered their losses towards each other more than they remembered their victories. And they used those victories as a motivation to make them their best. Now that you understand this long-standing competition between these two talents, let's see how it bolsters between their respective teams and fans. The competition between these two leaders reignited this rivalry between the two teams. The rivalry dates back to the 1960s with legendary players such as Bill Russell and Jerry West, and it ties down in the subsequent years. With the rebirth of this long-standing rivalry, the game was played with a new vigor, not only between the teams, but also with the media, because the NBA had gone through many scandals that the public no longer wanted to see it. But with that revival was also the revival in interest in the NBA. In 1984, the NBA final between the Lakers and the Celtics was labeled an all-out war when a Laker fan threw a beer can at Celtics guard ML Carr. Says allexperts.com article, Lakers-Celtics rivalry. In 1984 series, tension between the teams was evident when Celtic Kevin McHale clotheslined Lakers Larry Bird. And here I'm just going to play 30 seconds, not 30 minutes, of a clip to show you the intensity of these two teams and how it just translated. So if you listen hard enough, you can see and hear just how, I mean, this normally isn't how the game is played, but obviously the intensity between these two legendary players, the caliber of their game trickled down to their team, and these two teams, you just saw how badly they wanted to win. The following year, the Lakers and the Celtics met again in the finals. The first game of that was labeled the Memorial Day Massacre just because the Celtics moved the Lakers out of the water. But because Magic, with his talented signature junior skyhook, escalated the game, they were able to take that whole series, and Magic won the Most Valuable Player award. And so did Larry Bird, but that was in in 1984. Today I've talked about the pre-existing rivalry between the Lakers and the Celtics and how it was revived with the competition of these two talents, Magic and Larry Bird. As the speech has shown, great rivalry between two teams and two individuals can affect their lives in a dramatic way. And this picture here exemplifies that, because without Larry or without Magic, maybe one of them wouldn't have won this trophy. And in interviews proceeding after maybe their retirement, Magic was quoted and Larry was quoted as saying that they followed each other's careers so closely, one not knowing that the other was, just to make it better. Each time Larry won, Magic wanted to win more, and each time Magic won, Larry wanted to win more. And this picture just shows how each other push each other to what in their industry is considered the best, which is the championship. Thank you.
Can you guys turn the light on when you walk by there? Thank you. All right, so Jordan, what did you think?
You could tell she really had a structure. It was laid out, and she knew what she was definitely talking about. I think the intro definitely set up for the rest of the speech well, and gave us a glimpse of what we'd be hearing about. She had good transitions between the two, for just her several topics of kind of renewing the history between the teams, the rivalry, and how these two players brought it together. And I think it was overall really good.
Good. Okay. All right. I just watched that Magic Bird thing on HBO or Showtime this week, you know. So I just seen all that kind of stuff. I liked almost everything in the speech. I thought the visuals are integrated into the speech really well, that you had the pictures in the background that exemplified the idea that you were talking about, that last one, about how they pressed each other with the trophy between them and how it, you know, became an issue for them. They wanted to be better than the other guy, and that's what was going on. I thought that was a really good illustration of that concept. The video clip that you integrated into the speech, you did it exactly the way it ought to be done. You have it set up to go, it goes, you show it, you talk about what's going on, and you're done with it, and you move on to the next thing. I thought that was pretty good. Maybe the only thing I would have done differently is turn the light back on afterwards, you know, so that you're not having to talk in the dark. But I thought you did an excellent job on that. The one thing that I think is a little problematic, I'd agree with Jordan on most of the things. It's pretty well organized. I thought the transitions were really clear. When you got to the second point, or actually I guess it's the third point, it seemed like there were some other things that came up that would have worked better earlier in the speech. But the one thing that I was a little iffy on is your attention device. It's basically you just come on with the topic, and I think you've got to have something more interesting than that. You've got the picture, which is good, but you need to give us, you know, tell a story, for instance. And you've got a lot of stories here that you're telling in other places, so something interesting, some fact or statistic, for example, about the NBA in the late 70s and how it was dying and how suddenly it became the big thing, or how before there was Michael, there was Magic and Larry, or something to kind of pull us in a little bit more instead of just telling us what the topic is. But other than that, I thought everything was really nicely done. All right. Thank you.